and welcome. And write in the chat, where you are and what got you here in this conversation of care, which we'll talk about, which is an amazing conversation for me. Care. I first got interested in care through a philosopher, Martin Heidegger, and how he talked about care, because I had care as something that's out there someplace. And so much of his work was around care. And then I got interested in Michael Zimmerman and care and what is care and what brings about care. And does care have us or do we have care? And to be human doesn't mean that we care. So in doing these podcasts, we have different, our students, different ones. We call up and ask them to come to the call and who wants to participate. So tonight we have, your name is so long. I like
Daniela.
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 Yeah. Miriam Daniela Garcia.
I didn't realize my name was like that right now. I will
Yeah.
I will edit it to the
No,
short
no, no,
version.
no, 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 no. No, it's good. So she is a ontological coach, an educator, and a social service worker who specializes in helping people navigate. It's an excellent word, navigate major life transitions with clarity and purpose. And her background is medical studies, acting. That's acting in terms of care. That could be a whole different conversation.
Yeah, I like that
Entrepreneurship,
reframe.
huh?
I like that reframe.
Yeah, social work, pedagogy. She brings a rare combination of practical wisdom and deep empathy to her work with individuals facing uncertainty and change. So welcome, Daniela. You want to say anything before we get
Hi.
started?
I just shared with you a photo I found in my phone from 2017, and I just told you that I was starstruck by seeing you in person in Mexico back then. I because it's because of you that I decided to become a coach when I many years ago, probably 29 2009. I took the master's course, and it blew the top of my head, and I think I felt like vertigo for a week because like I didn't know where I was, what I was, like all those questions started living in my head in a good way. But I owe a lot to you and your work and all the things you care about.
Well, thank you. What I care about. That becomes the question. What do any individual, what do you care about in this ocean of care that we swim in? That, uh, metaphorically, but we're swimming in something that is not some self inside here. Well, what is care? And how does care shape us, huh, as we shape care? So that's what we're exploring tonight. Look at it. And Daniela's superpower, and she has a gift. Everybody doesn't have this gift. She has a gift of turning life's challenges into fertile ground for growth, expansion, and like you said, for people navigating. Because one of the things I come up against here in the work that I do with coaches, a transformational leader, uh, people live as if sometimes, and this is me, You know, I'm making all this up too. As if they're not supposed to be difficult times. Have you met? And I wonder about that and what this has to do with care and connection. And so you work with people, you say, who are having challenging times, right?
Oh, yeah.
How does care show up in that?
You know, especially today, I was wondering and swimming in this conversation of the ocean of care we swim in. Um, I was wondering, what are the limits of care? I don't know if we should start with the limits of care, if we can care too much, if we can care. But I guess we could start defining what care is by defining what care is not. Because to me, the opposite of care is indifference. I don't know what you think. And the more and more I get involved with working with people, I think like one of my prayers has become, please God, don't let me be indifferent. Um, don't let me be indifferent to the pain, the suffering, um, the struggles of others. Um, but I want to be careful with that
Care,
be
careful.
redundant, because I don't want to care too much that it overwhelms me and it will make me not effective in acting uh, on the things I care. Does that make sense?
It does. And this is, it's not like care is a paradox, but I say all there is caring. You're never not caring. You're caring about something. So maybe we can make this distinction now. Care and love. Because care and love is not the same thing. Right?
But do they touch each other?
I care touches everything.
There you go.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But care, love, hatred, they've been these not like concepts, but they've been collapsed in a way where we don't distinguish care and that we are beings of care. So what does it mean to be a human being? Is that we care? Does it mean that we love? I don't know. I'm beginning to question that. Does it mean that it's just, what does it mean to care?
I'm thinking that in order to care, first I need to be awake and aware.
Uh,
Do I
okay.
care about things when I'm asleep? No, so
But
I mean in the literal and the more philosophical way, being asleep, right? I cannot care if I'm not awake.
yeah, you're awake, you're present. This is why, here at the school, we have mindfulness so that we can be present, so that we can be, I like to say, awake. Well, let me look in the chat and see what people are saying. And I'm going to take the chat and move it off to the side over here. Let me see. Anybody put anything in here yet?
Not yet.
Uh,
They're very
okay,
shy today.
we got Malaysia here. Hi, Malaysia. But so,
Oh
but
yeah,
anyway,
ladies.
so like right now in our world, let's go big and then we'll bring it back down. How's that? Uh, so if they say the world right now is what, in the midst of collapse, being destroyed, and there's so much going on. Who's caring, and in what ways are we caring? Are there some people who are caring to have this war take place? And are there some people who are caring and saying, no, we don't want war? And then millions of people show up here in the United States to say, no, there's another possibility. So this is like on a global sense. And then some people don't even know any of this is going on, right? It's it's not even there for them. And then some people who care in a different kind of way, but we're all caring. All 8 billion of us are caring. And so let me see, isn't care an emotion? And even if you're asleep, you still have it. But that's the thing, it's not an emotion. Care is fundamental to all human beings, and it's not an emotion. It's what is care? What is the phenomenon of caring? And so what we care for and care about is we take action on it, because you don't take action on the things you don't care about, right?
And so now I'm thinking care is a product or attached to awareness.
I think if you're aware to what you're caring for and caring about, then you are mindful, you're present to what it is, what your actions, what world is creating, because we are creating worlds, right? And so what worlds are we creating through our care?
Because let me expand a little bit to this, because what am I aware of? Depending on what I am aware of, my caring goes. I cannot care about things I'm not aware of. Maybe I'm aware, like in my attention, a pain is very salient, like I cannot ignore it. So I care about a pain, a bodily pain I have, right? Or then I'm aware of my neighbor who is crying, then I might or might not care, but I need to be aware of a situation, a person, a circumstance in order to care. I cannot care about a Chinese lady that just fell from the stairs because I'm not there. It's out of my awareness, right? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's very interesting what you're saying. So care isn't an emotion or a feeling, as someone in the chat. It's not that, but care is what we human beings are. We're caring in action, which is very good. So, and even when I'm blinded to my care or to care, caring is still shaping me as I'm shaping and we're shaping the world. And so what is care? I've gotten to this part now, and especially after I told you this weekend I was in Washington, D.C. with a group of friends, and so I didn't make reservations with them to some of the things that were going on. But my sister and I, we went to Washington, and when it was time to go to a play, oh, can you get us tickets? So of course the woman said, yes, we're going on a cruise. Yes. Can you get us tickets? Because we're supposed to sign up for this deal like 2 weeks before. Was it a lack of care on my part? I could say that. Or was I wrong? And this is why I wasn't wrong. I wasn't mindful. I wasn't aware of what it would cause, what it would shape with other people by my actions. And what I finally got to was what I cared about was being there, right? I cared about being there. Now, the next part would be how I was there.
How many things can you care about at the same time?
It's a good question. So I think a part of what's happening now, as I look at my desk, as I look at my life, there's so many things. Care is an attention and intention for action. So, because we human beings, we're in action. But I say, what? I have so much going on. Can I care for and care about everything that's in my world to care about? So the answer, as I'm seeing it now, is no, right? There's so many things, and then social media and technology, so much more is happening. Where's the care in that? And we'll talk a little bit about AI, which our next call is going to be about that. Does AI care? No.
No, it
Do
doesn't.
we, huh?
It mimics care.
What?
It mimics care. It can mimic care.
But is that care?
No.
No. So AI, as we look at it, but we human beings care. And I listen to people with concerns about AI and what it's going to do to us human beings and all of that. And I keep saying and going, but because we as human beings, that's who we are, we care. We're not a machine or some automation or caring. But as long as we care, and I tend to think we have for all these thousands of years, then what is it going to mean? What worlds are we shaping? And how do we shape those worlds and so share care? How does care move through you to your world? And a world, we know this big term world, but through what you care about and what you are shaping, because I'm finding out in my 77 years of living that what I've cared about and cared for has shaped my world.
And don't you find that you care about different things in every stage of your life?
Exactly. So it was like you think about it, when you were a little girl, what'd you care about?
Me, my, now, right now.
But there were certain things you cared about. You were like, certain ages, they say, the different age groups, which I'm finding out about being an elder. What I care about now, I don't care about when I was, 18, even in my 20s, even my 30s. And there's a whole body of work around that. At different times in our lives, we care in different ways and about different things. So let's say if when you're in school, you cared in a particular way. And maybe when you were in undergraduate school in your teens or early 20s, what did you care about? You cared about getting your degree, getting out, getting a job.
Fitting in.
Yeah. And you use the word belonging.
I don't know if belonging is the same as fitting. Well, I don't think fitting in is the same as belonging. Right now, I would care about belonging when before I would care about fitting in.
Fitting in. So you care about fitting in. How do I fit in? It's very good. So that's a care. So if you care about fitting in, what's in the what could get eclipsed or pushed to the background? You know what I mean by that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When
Because I
when you
care.
want to fit in, you contort yourself to fit in this box.
Yeah. So you control so you can fit in and this you so you're shaping yourself to fit
Yeah.
in. And you're shaping yourself to fit in, to shaping yourself. And with that, you shape your worlds. And then at some moment in time, and this is the other thing I'm discovering about care. At some point, there's a break open. You've heard this before. Until every time the heart breaks open, there's a new kind of care that emerges. And then something else gets disclosed. I remember when I was a little kid, I cared, like you said, about fitting in, big family, they're loving me, we loving them. And as I continue to grow, that it didn't go away because some of that narrative is still with me. How do I fit in? Like this past weekend, I wanted to be sharp. I wanted to look a particular way and speak a particular way. So that's a part of it too. But then some things happen in my older age where that is not as important to me, but it's still there. It's still in the background, but it's not in the foreground of my care. So the question now is, what do I care about now? What world do I care about bringing forth? What world am I shaping with my care? This is a good question. So, what world are you shaping with your care? Just any of you, just put it in the chat.
Yeah, what is salient? What is calling for your attention,
Ah, mhm.
hence your care, right? Because
Yeah,
nowadays with technology, a lot of things are calling for our attention, and maybe we can start caring about things we didn't even consider.
yeah, because it's in the background. And then, yes,
Now, there are some experts that say that we were never meant to care about so many things that are far, far, far away. Like if you think of back in the day when we lived in tribes, you could only care about a very small circle. You would rarely know what was happening in the next village or whatever. We're not talking even about the other side of the world, other countries, like, and now everything is calling for our attention. And now you don't only care about the needs of your community, but you're thinking about the war there and the crimes in the other side of the world. And that's why I'm thinking, is there a limit to care? Can we care to our detriment too much that is working against us?
mm-mm, that's a good question. Can we care? So, but if we, I'm going to say no. And let me tell you why I'm going to say no. That's what you said. Our care is what gives us focus and attention and intention. Now, attention and intention is not the same, but they're similar enough. So, but we can't help but care,
We
right?
can't help
And it's
unless we are in a state where our attention is impaired, right? And
yeah,
we can't care, like I don't know, some condition. If I'm uh I don't know,
oh,
numbed by medication. Maybe I'm just like focused on right now, not falling down, and everything other thing, I don't care. Or
But see,
maybe
yeah, now this is very good. So when you say, I don't care, what does that do to you when you say, I don't care?
maybe I have hyper focus on just one thing.
Yeah, but it's almost as if you're cut off from something. What's another way we can language that we can, because our caring shows up in language, right? Us, we human beings show up in language.
Mhm.
But how can we, because the people are overwhelmed. But like you say, there's so much. What can you give your attention to? And how do you bring that in a way that you are participating in life, and this ocean of care? How are you participating so that you your care is mattering? Is that a good way to say it?
We have some answers
Okay.
to that question. So Joyce is saying, caring about my health, my family, my community, my world. And Michelle is saying, caring is shaping me a bond with my kids and my wife the way I would never imagine.
So what is that care? What and how do we bring a care to that shapes us, which is what we're doing anyway? So then we look at, what am I shaping? What patterns am I bringing forth uh, with my caring, or with caring? I guess I can call it mine, because this is what it means to be a human being, huh? That is, I have this body and I'm over here. But what is that would have us I see, what is it, Michael? Karen is shaping me a bond with my kids and my wife the way I would never imagine. Care. So you're shaping that. You're bringing that forward. And then someone who's indifferent, because that's a form of care too, being indifferent.
You
What
think?
kind of, yeah, it's a form of care. Well, let's think about it. If someone is indifferent, why would you say they would be indifferent? If care is the structure of our being, what would have someone be indifferent? What would you say?
He would be close to, like Roberto was saying, this caring is listening, like not listening to whomever, whatever. Um, isn't it one of the reasons for suffering described by the Buddhist? Uh, Attachment, clinging, and one of them is indifference. Like, I want something, I'm um, avoiding something. Yeah, like attachment, avoidance, and indifference. Those are the three sources of suffering according to the Buddhists.
Yeah, because when you're indifferent, what happens with your care? I think indifference is protecting something. Well, because if you weren't indifferent, if you could just care, but when you're saying something about, when I bring attention and mindfulness to my care and shows it, what might happen? Right.
Kala is saying caring is being vulnerable. So if I care, something is at stake.
Mhm.
And if what I care gets damaged or whatever,
Or
that
what I
will
call,
impact me.
yeah, and what I call me might get damaged.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Because now that you were saying, like, what do I care? Evidently, what Joyce and Carla and Michelle and you and me is very different. It's like very personal, individual fingerprint of care. No one can care about the same things than you or than me, because I care about my health and my child and my friends and my clients. You cannot care about those things in the exact same way.
Yeah.
So there's something at stake every time I care. So if I don't care, if I'm indifferent, then nothing can be lost.
But maybe your care shows up as indifference. Maybe your care shows up. Now stick with me on this. Maybe your care shows up as hatred.
Absolutely.
Maybe your care shows up as, I think about here in the United States, and I, care in patterns and pattern making and all of this. But let's say a while ago, maybe 20, 30 years ago, there weren't school shootings here in the United States. And now, because it's a pattern, and as this pattern, people go, okay, I'll just go get me guns and go shoot people. And then they turn the guns on themselves. Why would they turn the guns on themselves? I don't, I watch this, but it's like when I'm not willing to uh, care about my caring, then I become what? I, what is that? Like you said, oh, keep talking for a second, Daniela. We're exploring this because I think it's
Yeah,
good.
I love explorations. Like, we don't have the answer, but we're
Mm-mm.
trying to understand. So Joyce says there is compassion for what is happening around me. That's how care is happening to Joyce, I'm assuming or interpreting. What impact can I make by showing I care about life, the world we live in? That's a good question. And it's good to have those kinds of questions that there's not a definitive answer, a question that I can uh, ask
See?
myself every day, like, what do I care? What do I care? Because as we said, what we cared in our 20s is not the same as we care in our 40s or 70s.
You get your 40s. Listen, why would you do that? Why 40s? Because in our culture, and you up in Canada might be similar, but what we care about youth is so much that the elderly, it's not okay to be elderly, where most of the wisdom should be. I'm not saying it's there, but that's where wisdom starts to uh yeah, but this is good. So to what do you care? And so care then, let's make it simple. So what world are you bringing forth? What world are you bringing forth with your care, or with care itself? And that's a question. I don't, let's see, Roberto here wrote, since care is not love and is not unconditional love.
Well, he wrote in another entry, what happens when you care about someone, but they don't care about you? Like family members, some of them, since care is not love and is not unconditional love.
Yeah, so we want to broaden the whole notion of what care is because we've brought it down to somewhere where we don't have access to compassion.
Mm.
That's why the Buddhists practice so much. They really practice their breath, their chants, their all of that, because it is not a cognitive thing by itself. It is care, it's a very resonance of our whole bodies. Until we put something in there or bring something to replace care, so we think, so that we don't be vulnerable, so that we don't get, what is it, hurt, we don't get killed, all of that goes on with us human beings because we're vulnerable. And vulnerable,
We are vulnerable.
yeah. And if you're never vulnerable, which it doesn't necessarily mean death, and it could. And I think about, I have a nephew, and he went off to war. And when he signed up for the Marines, this was some years ago. And he called me, I was in California, and he said, "Aunt Betty, I know you're not going to like this, but I joined the Marines today." I went crazy. Are you crazy? What are you doing? And da, da, da. And this was and he said, I want to go to college. My mom don't have money to send me to college. So I'm going into the Marines. When I come out, I'm going to go to college. And I'm going, and this was the Iraq War. See, people were getting killed at that time in the military. And then this happened one night, and I called my senator. I knew a senator. I'd worked with him. He wasn't my senator, but I knew him. I said, "You got to get this kid out of it. What can I do?" He says, "Nothing I can do." But anyway, one night I was sitting around and I had this image, and there were all these men shooting and women shooting at each other. And they put their guns down and started to dance.
Mm.
And it was joyful. It was, and something in me said, okay, he's going to be okay. Like that. And when he came back, he was not the same guy. I was sitting in my mom's kitchen one night with him, and he's showing me pictures of the people they had shot. I said, okay, his care has shifted. He was one of the most loving little ones, but it shifted him. And so in this dance called care, in this dance called vulnerability, which brings it, we call it that, but is that really what's happening?
You know what? You're making me think, what's the relationship between our values and our care?
Yes.
I think it's a very close one because you could be thinking, okay, what is a person who signs up for the army thinking about? What do they care about? What are their values? Because maybe defending uh, freedom or defending others comes before their own survival. Or maybe to him, going to college was more important than pleasing Aunt Betty. I don't know, right? Like, so what are the values? What's the care? What's the lineup of care?
Yeah, so he was oriented towards a future, and we're always oriented towards some future. And we can call that, care orients us. And he wanted to go to school. And he didn't want his mom to, he said, "This is the way I can do it." So, and I come from a military family. So in a military family, so many of my brothers and uncles and one niece, a couple of nieces, they had gone into the military to have access to finances. Yeah, this is good, Daniela. And he cared. So we always cared about something. What he was caring about a future. And then the military became a way that he could fulfill on his mission, on what he was up to in his life. It's like, getting married. Some people get married not because they love the person, but because they care about something in their life, some future possibilities, and we are oriented towards a future.
Well, there could be some family values or some cultural values that
Yes.
say, I have to get married now, I have to get married to this person, and that's more important than my immediate preference. So there's also people who care about immediate gratification, or people who care about results in the future, because that's a very different kind of living.
But do you think we always care about some future not maybe we wouldn't call it a possibility, but we're oriented to this past, the present, and future?
You made me think, because you know that I don't know how accurate it is, but if you care too much about the past, you can become depressed, and if you care too much about the future, you're anxious. Have you heard that?
Yes, I've heard that.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's scientific fact, but it's something that is around there. Um, can we care too much about the past?
And some people, as you know, in working with people, and even in my life, sometimes I'm focused on the past and not even know that I'm focused on the past. It's like something is pushing me from the past. And then when I get, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I have, commitments to the future for, Ideal Coaching Global, our students, and what's there. But if I am too much into it, right? And I call that care, and not present. What's a good word? Present. So what does it mean to be present to that, right? To be present to it in a way that I can shift the focus of my care. What do you?
You're making me like it's just so many thoughts at the same time. But until today, I was working in a non-for-profit agency, sexual assault support services for women, and I noticed many of my clients there cared about the past, what had happened to them.
Yeah.
And a lot of their attention, some clients were like, I cannot stop thinking, why did it happen to me? And and the attention is there, is there,
Yes.
is there, is there. And um and I asked her, what if you got an answer and the answer was because? Like what difference would it make? Because um
Yeah.
who is it to blame? Evidently the aggressor, but what made the aggressor be the aggressor, like become a predator? So is it his fault, or is it the fault of what made him
It's
behave like this, and so on, and we get to Adam and Eve. Like it's just a chain of fault, and why? Will we get a satisfactory answer? And
no, this is very good. So thank you for that. It's why do people hurt each other? So like right now, I'm working on a course, sex, money, and power. And what I'm noticing in this conversation is that what's been amplified in the past few years here around sex, especially around abuse of young girls. Nothing has come out about young boys yet, but it's amplified. And as it's amplified, it's showing me, it's having us become aware of something that's in this structure, this system that we call human beings, where people are hurt sexually. Right. And then money plays a part in it. So what is money? And so I've started, instead of just talking about money, I started talking about abundance. It's a very different way, not to just change words, because I'm smart enough to do that too. But what is it? What is abundance? And with abundance, do we have full abundance to life? I walked into our supermarket down here. I was writing this piece and I went down to the supermarket to get something. And I looked at the vegetables in there. It was like they were so abundant. It was so much and it was so beautiful. And I'm walking around the supermarket and there's so much abundance in there. And yet people suffer, people starve. So, and in power, what is power? Because care, when not cared for and cared about, turns into power that can be controlling, dominating, which is what I see sexual abuse is about. Or it can become that which gives life to all of us. And in abundance, then, is what? It's not a thing. It's an opening for care and being cared for. And the thought is, I care. Not I, like a me inside of here. See, that's another thing we're moving away from, which is now beginning to show up, that there is no me in here. But there's something about us that we are individuated, we're individuals in this vast ocean of being. And in this being called human beings, what is it that's having us be human beings and not, I see this little dog up here that has not having us be dog beings or plant beings. Is there anything other than being? And we human beings, what does it mean to be a human being? And I start to, when I started to look at and think, Daniela and everyone is in here, that maybe we human beings, we're the only place in the universe where we can be aware of awareness itself. I don't know if this dog is aware of awareness itself, but in being aware brings about care, compassion, honoring, love. And maybe this is what we're evolving into, like you said, very interesting, huh?
Very interesting. And I think I always think when we notice that we notice, I believe I read somewhere that that's the second sapiens, because, you know, we are almost sapiens. Sapiens means like notices, or like, but notices that notices. Like, it's about the metacognition. We not only notice, but we notice that we notice.
Notice that we notice. And
And
that's when care takes on a whole nother way of being, a whole nother way of noticing and participating and sharing. I care. Go ahead.
now,
Come on.
what if you ate something that was not good and suddenly you have to run to the bathroom. Everything else disappears from your awareness and you only care about one thing.
That's like getting to the bathroom. At that
Eh,
moment, that's your intention.
yeah, but I mean, just a gross way to say that some things sequester our awareness and our care. Because if I can be an activist and I can care about a lot of things, but if my child needs medical support, I will not care about anything else. I will my all my care will be there, right?
Yeah. So that lets us know that we have that capacity to focus that way. But usually we focus that way when something, like you said, is at risk. But some of us, like going to school, and I watch entertainers, especially musicians, because musicians operate in a particular way, a frequency, and you're an actress, but there's something, their frequencies, they're something that moves us, that shapes us as we're shaping it. And it can give us great freedom. And it can also give us great pain. If you take that and then your life has to be on stage, and I've heard entertainers say this, and when I come off stage, it's like I'm empty, there's nothing. But there's something in this conversation about care. So for all the folks here, write in the chat for me, what do you care? What do you care for as it relates to your future and your life? Okay, just write it in. What do you care for? What care is moving through you? What caring is?
Joyce is sharing that care is an action-oriented concept encompassing empathy, and it refers to the physical and emotional support provided to individuals.
Mhm.
Maybe she went to the dictionary or Googled the word care to stop to stop the trying to figure it out. I'm kidding, Joyce. But maybe she was like, let's go and find
Okay.
the definition.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Any definition we have will come from some definition that we already have. And so we're opening up a new way of thinking about care, not even thinking about it, but the frequency of care. That's why I was going down that path. The frequency of care. And so what is care? It's not just in words, and words are very important.
Roberto says, I care about leaving a legacy of contributions.
Yeah. So something had you come to this call. What is it that you care for? And what care are you bringing forth? What are you bringing forth in this world that we share with your care? Because you're bringing something forth. You're bringing something forth in your family and your work and your community. Let's say even in your own body. What are you bringing forth with your care? Well, we're going to wrap this up.
I will share what I care about. My mom always told me something that the more I grow older or time passes, I grows deeper roots in me. But she always told me, leave every place better than you found it.
Mm.
And I care about that. And to me, is person, place, uh, job, anything, uh, as simple as that can be. It can be by picking up piece of garbage Or sometimes I find some dusty corner and I'm like, I don't like that. I'm gonna leave it better than I found it. But like, I want a footprint of care that I cared. That's that's my focus. That's what I care about.
Very good. Thank you. Oh,
Orally, I care for how human beings treat each other and nature, the impact of our choices.
and so then we become what you care about. Be that in the world. Be how, uh, with healthcare, people's rights, family stability, people financial status, the status of the outcome of wars, etc. So human beings, we are shaping our care, and war has been a pattern for us for a long time. And now some people are saying that pattern is no longer, because what you don't, how do you shift patterns? And in shifting the patterns that you're living in, you start to bring forth a new world. So there's a whole nother conversation around that. And then someone said, I care about the world, keeping a dialogue, a reasonable dialogue. I don't know what it is, a reasonable dialogue. But what we're doing here is we are listening. I'm listening. And as we listen, so the world is not a battleground, but it's a system for sharing, for caring, for listening, for speaking, for honoring. And but we've forgotten that. When I say we, I mean we human beings. But what this period is about for me is we're shaping. We're shaping this so that we can have dialogue, conversations, so that we can work together on this tiny, tiny planet. You know, spaceship is going up, went up today, it'll go up tomorrow, going someplace else. Look for a reasonable dialogue to see where, but it's expansive. We're expanding. And so I invite you all to come back again, and we'll keep expanding these conversations. Thank you so much for Daniela for being here. And in our next conversation in a couple of weeks, it's going to be about AI, not the technology of AI, but what is AI and how it is shaping us as we're shaping it. And remember, AI does not care, but we human beings care. And we might find out that it does care, but I'm saying that any care in AI comes from our putting it there. And so we'll send out notices to you. Please come back again. I thank you for taking time to be here and for sharing, for listening. And may you care. Notice when you stop caring. Notice when you're inconvenienced by your care. You notice that? And just start noticing, because the world is moving into this space where care is not on care and action together. Remember, I'm not saying love, but I want you look up love. Start to look at and see what love, what care is and what love is. And yes, they're related, but there's something else when you start to notice, what do you care about? What do you care for? And so thank you so very much. I care about the world, keeping dialogue. I care about what's happening. I care about my family. Yeah. Thank all of you. Go have some great dinner wherever you are. And as you eat your dinner, chew it. Slow down just a little bit, because this care that we're talking about, this movie we went to see this weekend about this rock and this man out in outer space.
I watched it this weekend. I love that movie. Did you like it?
I did. It was, what is it to care and connection, our interconnectedness, our interdependency, and how our care helps us to live that way. I thank all of you. Thank you, Daniela, once again. And may the blessings of God be upon you. May his peace abide within you. May her presence illuminate your hearts now and forevermore. Have a good evening and good night.